If you want to know how to write an amazing narrative, you will love this video. In fact, the strategies I am about to share with you helped me write a brilliant story in my English exam. So keep watching. First of all, let me tell you that narrative writing is telling a story. This story may be related to your personal experience. But the thing over here is that the story follows the sequence of events in which they had happened. Now, let's talk about the elements of narrative writing. These are the things you focus on while writing a story, such as a plot, a conflict, the characters and the setting. Let me explain all these to you in detail. In simple words, the plot is the sequence of events. Or you can say that it is the storyline. There can be different types of plots, such as tragedy and comedy. Now here is a tip for you: if you want to make your plot interesting, complicate things, and introduce new problems in your story. This will create suspense. Similarly, you can also introduce secondary characters to create suspense. Now, here is a simple example of a plot for you. The good army is about to face the evil army in a disastrous battle. During this battle, the good army prevails and wins the war at last. After the war has ended, the two sides make peace and begin rebuilding the countryside, which was ruined by the years-long war. Moving on, let's talk about a conflict. The conflict is the struggle or opposition your character faces. In simple words, it is the problem that your character faces. It may be in the form of an inner conflict, or a struggle with society and nature. The conflict plays a major part in your story to create tension and suspense. It will also help you in character development, as the problems will be a source of learning for your character. Plus, these problems keep your readers engaged. And when the problems are solved, it creates a sense of closure in your story. Moving on, let's talk about characters. They perform actions and dialogues in your story. And the characters are the ones who face a conflict. There are different types of characters, such as major characters and minor characters. Now, if we talk about the importance of characters, they are what your readers remember. One common example is Harry Potter. Plus, they help your plot move forward. And after all, character development is a very important part of your narrative. If we talk about the setting, it is when and where the events take place. In simple words, it refers to the time and location of a story. A tip over here is that your setting should have an impact on your character. Because if it does not affect your character, then why will it matter? If you want your narrative writing to be amazing, you have to use literary devices. These are the techniques that you can use to express your ideas. Let's take a look at some of them in detail. Flashback is a technique of taking your reader to the past. For example, a man is about to give a speech. Suddenly, he remembers playing with toads and frogs in his backyard as a child. He smiles at the memory and then starts to speak about his interesting study on frogs. Now, let's talk about foreshadowing. It is giving a hint to your reader on what is to come. This allows your readers to develop expectations from your story. A common example is, "I have a bad feeling about this." And the settings such as a graveyard or battlefield are also a part of foreshadowing. Moving on, a cliffhanger is when a part of your story remains unsolved. In other words, you leave the question unanswered. An example is A Pair of Blue Eyes by Thomas Hardy. In the story, the main character is left hanging onto a cliff at the end of the last episode. If you use literary devices in your narrative writing, it will create tension and suspense. In short, it will strengthen your narrative. Now, here is a sample narrative for you. After reading it, do let me know about the strengths and weaknesses of the response in the comment section below. The question says, write a story that includes the sentence, "It was my fault so I decided to do something about it." The devastating month of June arrived. The month when joy and leisure were replaced with trauma and accountability. This was the time that brought about the horrific annual exams, something I ran from even more than a terrible nightmare. However, the circumstances were unusually different this time, at least for me. The reason being my hectic preparation to deal with this challenge. Sarcastically, this strategy was the opposite that an average student would adopt to secure convincing results. The only thing I awaited, along with my friends, was to practically execute this plan. The plan of acquiring the exam papers before time. "Why are you so persistent to know when the papers will arrive?" my English teacher replied curiously to my question. My confident reply to her inquiry, of making her proud this time with my results, enforced her to reveal that the exams were already prepared. Moreover, she also confessed that they were securely placed in the principal's office. This was something unexpected, and therefore, I assembled my friends to discuss this astonishing information with them. Nonetheless, we decided to sneak into the principal's office and capture images of the exams. The best time proved to be the home time, because everyone, including the school staff, was in a hustle to leave. The attempt of distracting the nearby staff and cautiously entering the room proved to be successful. Now, we had plenty of drawers to analyze and hundreds of papers to check. However, the excitement made it difficult to control our nerves. This was evident with our giggles and joyous expressions. Amidst all this, we heard some approaching footsteps that sounded closer and closer with every second. Simultaneously, our excitement turned into terror and trauma. This was what we least wanted, or even expected to happen. The principal, furious about leaving her handbag, smashed the door open. Likewise, her immediate expression showed that she was in utter disbelief and shock. The foremost thing she said to us, in a furious tone, was, "Do not try to explain this to me. The papers on the floor say it all." The silence in the room prevailed, as the principal was busy assembling the senior school staff. We were not bewildered to be issued a penalty of exam cancellation and the denial of the promotion to the next class. It was my fault, so I decided to do something about it. This was because I was the so-called mastermind of this plan, and I urged my friends to follow me. In short, I composed a comprehensive email to the school management, explaining how my friends were innocent. Moreover, I explained why I should only be penalized, but not my friends. The hectic effort and the continual visits to the school office paved way for my success. Due to this, my friends were pardoned on the argument that I enforced them to commit this action. On the other hand, I was left facing depression and deep thoughts about my future. Will the management have any compassion and mercy for me? I asked myself. Probably not, but I kept trying to receive any incentive, but in vain. This was a narrative writing sample for you. Do share your thoughts about it in the comments section below. But before going, I have a small request from you. According to YouTube, 95% of you watching are not subscribed. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button below this video, right now. And, do not forget to like and share the